In this first lesson describing the subsystems of the power plant, we'll look at the engine fuel system. It supplies fuel at the correct pressure and rate of flow to the fuel nozzles under all operating conditions. Fuel is pumped from the collector bay in each wing by a boost ejector pump, possibly assisted by the auxiliary pump. Unused fuel is returned as motive fuel to drive the boost and other scavenge ejector pumps in the wing tank. Metered fuel is pumped to 12 fuel nozzles in the combustion chamber of each engine. Fuel flow entering the fuel nozzles in each engine is a good indicator of engine operation, so it's important to monitor fuel flow on the engine display. Let's look at the components inside the engine fuel system. From the fuel tank, fuel passes through a low-pressure pump called a regenerative pump and is heated by hot engine oil in a heat exchanger. The heater also has an inbuilt filter. If there's a filter problem and fuel is about to bypass the heater, an impending pressure bypass switch triggers the fuel filter bypass caution light. Fuel temperature is sensed here and reported on the engine display. The high-pressure main fuel pump, driven by the accessory gearbox, has an inbuilt filter and is part of the fuel metering unit. Actually, the low-pressure fuel pump is also driven by the accessory gearbox and is also part of the FMU. The FMU contains the fuel metering valve, which meters the required fuel to the engine. Excess fuel is returned to the main tanks as motive fuel for the fuel system scavenge pumps. The FMU is controlled electronically by the FADEC, and the quantity of metered fuel is based on factors such as power and condition lever inputs, ambient conditions, engine performance, and the engine rating requested from the engine control panel. Next, fuel flow is measured and displayed on the engine display. And finally, it passes through a flow divider that divides the fuel through one manifold for engine starting and through two manifolds for additional fuel for steady-state operation. The nozzles atomize the fuel and spray it into the combustion chamber. In the event of an engine fire, pulling the pull fuel hydraulic off handle signals the FADEC to close the shutdown solenoid in the FMU to cut fuel to the engine and closes the fire shutoff valve. The solenoid also cuts fuel if there is a FADEC or electrical failure. Low fuel pressure is sensed at the inlet to the regenerative pump and triggers the engine low-pressure caution light. You should try to increase pressure by switching on the fuel auxiliary pump on the affected side.